And in the center ring of the conservative circus, we have Congressman Andy Biggs. He did double duty on Thursday. He helped his colleagues to grill Department of Homeland Secretary Mayorkas about control of the border and led an effort to condemn and to try to reverse the Biden administration's new plans for asylum seekers. Congressman Biggs, I'm going to ask you to the same question that I was asking Sheriff Mark Lamb. In your opinion, does the federal government have operational control of the southern border, or did Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas commit perjury when he claimed that they do?
No, it absolutely does not have operational control. There is a statutory definition that says operational control happens when you are preventing any illegal person from entering any contraband, any smuggling, drug smuggling, etc. Now, that may be ultimately you can't ever get operational control because it says nobody illegally can enter in. But you know what? He said that they do have operational control. I think that's a problem when he says that under oath. It fundamentally denies knowing what you're supposed to be doing.
On a personal note, Congressman Biggs, have you ever had to question somebody as smarmy, as just duplicitous as Mayorkas? I mean, I listened to him just try to run out the clock with well thought out insulting comments that do nothing but answer the question. And it's an effective tactic, but I think it speaks to the fact that these people truly are not America's friend. They truly are trying to damage the country. They're just trying to cloak it in bureaucratic speak.
Well, I thought that he was pretty slick, all right, and he may have been the best. Another one that was pretty smarmy and arrogant was Peter Strzok. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yes,
we had Peter Strzok. So they were kind of in the same ilk, but Peter Strzok was his arrogance was so overwhelming that we could defeat that arrogance, get to him. But with Mayorkas, I mean, he just wasn't telling the truth on top of everything else, and that's what was so disgusting. Which leads you to believe, James T. If anybody watched that, and if you know the true facts, you couldn't help but walk away saying, this border crisis is intentional.
Yes. Yes. And of course, I've been saying that for almost since he came into office, Biden. I know that you've been saying that, but I think that a lot of Americans are still kind of in the dark. You and Senator Ron Johnson had a resolution that you introduced yesterday. And I think that this is kind of indicative of how a lot of people just really don't understand what's going on. Could you tell us about that resolution?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, what we're trying to get at is we're trying to lay down the truth about what's happening. And I'm with you. I don't think people get that about what's happening truly on the border and what these guys are doing. And so we're trying to make that an important aspect of it. And sometimes you have to do a resolution like that, where you're basically creating narrative, you're creating talk, and that's what we're doing.
Well, we're going to definitely follow that. We have Congressman Andy Biggs in the central ring of the conservative circus, and I would be remiss if I didn't take a brief detour to ask you about Representative Kevin McCarthy. Is he good? Is he bad? Or is this a necessary evil? Or does he simply look like a snake because Liz Cheney and the media have made him look like one?
Well, so, I mean, he's denying everything that he said there, and he's trying to say, well, I was just giving scenarios. Now Liz Cheney, apparently, we don't know who did this, but apparently she recorded surreptitiously this conversation. But what Kevin was saying is, there's no defense for President Trump, and so he's going to ask him to resign. That's a statement of actions. That's not a statement of, well, let's consider this. He's saying, I'm planning on talking to him tonight and asking him to resign. And so then for him to say it didn't happen, and then to say he was just discussing options, And then to go on with this last notion, which I think is the worst part of all of it, which is he said basically these folks that are taking the position defending the president should be removed from social media. All that bespeaks that not much trustworthiness, and also kind of fighting against your own conference. And don't forget, this happened just a couple, 3 days after the January 6th incident.
Right.
And we were still trying to sort through stuff.
Well, this is my point, that he said these things is right after January 6th, is almost as if he was playing into the developing January 6th narrative. And I thought that a lot of people, if they were to see this, especially, conservatives in the House, they would, there'd be a chance that he would not be selected as the speaker next go-around. But he did get a standing ovation from one of these conferences the other day, didn't he?
Well, see, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't at that conference because I had other meetings, but not everybody gave him a standing O.
I was going to ask, would you be standing up, Congressman? Maybe you don't have to answer that question.
No, I would not have been standing up.
I had to ask you. We had to go there. Congressman Biggs, always appreciate your perspective, and you did yeoman's work in grilling Mayorkas the other day. I want to thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, James T., thanks much. Have a good weekend.
Congressman Andy Biggs, one of the congressmen that is in the know, one of the congressmen that is absolutely telling the truth about the border. And I'm telling you, a lot of people just don't know. It's not in the news cycle. Even with conservative talk radio, it's not in the news cycles if you're not on the border.